Hiya, James Savage from National Club Golfer, down at the Belfry today for a TaylorMade P760 Irons fitting. Let's go and see how we get on. Okay, so you may have already seen our TaylorMade P760 initial irons review, but I wanted to come here to the Belfry, go through the proper fitting process to find out whether or not it's a set of irons that's going to work for me, whether it's not a set of irons that's just more for a better player. It's going to be really interesting to find out, but we'll go through the process, get dialed into the right shaft, any lie angle tweaks, anything like that, and get the fitter to be honest with me about whether or not he thinks I can actually play this set of irons. So it's going to be really interesting to find out. Give us a little bit of an introduction to the P760. What are the key bits of technology? What sort of golfers do you think they're going to suit?
P760, maybe as we discussed before, really plugs that gap between what is an incredible iron in P790 and a more traditional blade in P730. Obviously last year we had P770, which was trying to do that job, but now we're just benefiting from this cavity head, this hollow design, speed foam, progressive through 3-iron to 7-iron, and then into a more traditional looking club, 8 to 8 wedge.
Okay, so did you find that there was a real need for that type of club, where maybe if there was a player who really appreciated the sort of the power and the ball speed in the P790 and the longer irons, but maybe, like I say, good players wanted something a little bit sleeker and more control in the short irons, and is that where the P760 fills that gap?
I would say absolutely yes. There was lots of good golfers, lower handicap golfers coming to see us to see what 790 was all about versus maybe something which was a little bit sleeker, which they currently had in their setup. They would try the iron, and undoubtedly performance in terms of ball speed and spin and launch was incredible. Maybe just didn't look the way they wanted it to look. Looking for something a little bit sleeker, and I think now with 760 you've got an iron that has all of the tech but also looks a pretty good looking product as well.
I am very interested in the P760. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to come for a fitting here today, to kind of maybe look at a set of irons that was still going to give me that bit of forgiveness in the longer irons, but give me something in the shorter irons where I could maybe work on and kind of get some control, hopefully tighten that dispersion a little bit. So just tell us a little bit about my fitting. What did you see when I came in and started hitting? Did you just want me to leave with a set of P790s, or did you think there was something in persisting with the fitting process with the P760 for someone at my level?
Yeah, I think one of the key things you said early on, James, was how much you like 790 and how well it performed for you in a previous fitting. So we had a little look at 760, and there is a distinct difference in terms of their usability, in that throughout the set the heads are a little bit bigger, from 3 all the way down to 8 wedge. You could say typically it's aimed at the higher handicap golfer. Again, one thing which you pointed out is your aspirations are to get lower than 15. So I think looking at the benefits of having an iron that is a little bit less offset, a little bit neater in the top line, which 760 is, maybe means that if you use something like that, you're going to have to work a little bit harder and play a little bit more and improve your overall game. And 760 is going to give you something to aim for. But the performance was just so good up in the 5-iron with 790 that if we'd have been using a 770, it really would have been difficult to compete with that. But again, with 760, because it has that hollow head design, because it has that speed foam, it was closer. I think in the end, we may end up with 790 in the 5-iron, but in 760, we were a lot closer to what we were looking for versus what we would have been in 770.
Touching a little bit more on the fitting process in itself, if you haven't been fitted, I should be someone that turns up to these sort of like fittings with, clubs that are dialed in for me absolutely perfectly, but that's not always the case. We find sometimes that I've often got quirky shafts or lengths of clubs, but we really dialed in the fit, really well, working closely, looking at the shaft. Just tell us a little bit about what you did in terms of the shaft and in terms of the tweaks to kind of get the P760 irons working best for me that you could.
The best reference point to start from is your current products and looking at whether they suit in terms of dynamic measurements, in terms of static measurements, and then making it relevant to the technology within the club head, because every manufacturer has their own technologies, and making the fitting relevant to that is key. So the first thing we looked at was shaft length. So we went a little bit longer than what you currently have, but that only gets it to what we will consider a standard length. We did a little lie angle test as well. Typically, like most people, we needed to make the club a little bit more upright, just to help in terms of centeredness of strike and also to control spin axis. Lofts was an interesting one as well. Our P760 standard lofts are a little bit weaker than what we would see in 790. For someone like you, James, we discussed what your technique is producing in terms of dynamic loft, and we need to control your launch, we need to control your spin as well. So I think in the end we could see the benefits of just strengthening the loft by 1 degree in the 760 irons, just to help control optimum spin and launch.
Yeah, and I think that's something that maybe people don't realise, things that can be done, through the fitting process. It's not like, these are the clubs that we got, they're this length and they're this lie angle and they're these lofts. That a lot of people don't realise, and with that loft, adding a degree of loft, that wasn't something that I was aware that you guys did. And for me, when I see my ball flight and I see that ball getting too high too quickly, I think I will really benefit from just kind of nipping that loft down a little bit.
Definitely, and again, it was probably your first comment when I asked you how your current clubs perform. I think the first thing you said was it gets a little bit high, gets a little bit spinny. It's a combination of technique and what can we do to the golf club to help improve. That will definitely assist you on the golf course.
The set that you recommended for me was the P760 A wedge to the 7 iron, and then was it the 6 and the 5 in the P790, was that right?
Yeah, I think if we're being realistic and we're being honest with ourselves here, there is definite room for improvement in terms of your handicap, because quite honestly, James, your technique's better than what your handicap suggests, but we don't want you to go out on the golf course and struggle in the longer irons. What we've settled on here is a 5 and a 6 iron in P790, which give you all the speed and all of the forgiveness that you're going to require on off-centre strike. As we've said, 760 will do that versus a 770, but I just think 790 really dials that in for you. And then the beauty of the 7 iron through to A wedge in 760, well, it's still progressive. We've still got that hollow head design with speed foam in the 7 iron. We have a forged face in the 7 iron, and then once we get into the 8 iron through to the A wedge versus what you currently have, it's sleeker, less offset, sharper leading edge, thinner top line, 1025 carbon forged throughout those clubs. So something which you're going to have to work a little bit harder to hit more consistently than what you currently have. A combo set with technologies in there which you can go out on the golf course with today and improve your game.
Well, I think the onus is on me then to over the winter to kind of work hard. And I actually think sometimes if you've got a club that's a little bit more compact, a little bit sleeker, it can just focus the mind a little bit more anyway, that that you've got to strike it better. And hopefully, come the start of next season, I'll be sort of closer to 9 with the handicap, and I'll have these irons working really well for me. So we'll have to wait and see that. But in the meantime, thank you very much for your patience. Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've just popped over here near to the 10th hole at the Belfry, iconic hole, 4-time Ryder Cup venue. So what are my thoughts and conclusions after going through that fitting process with TaylorMade and the P760 irons? It was a really interesting day for me today because I came here with a little bit of trepidation, thinking that I maybe wasn't quite good enough to get fitted into a set of the P760s, but I did really like them in my initial review, and I did think that there was a chance that they could work for me. And when we went through the fitting process, I started hitting some of the P790s as well. I maybe sort of started to think that maybe the P790s are a better club for me. They were going to work best for me if I was to pick a set of irons to take out onto the course tomorrow and shoot my best scores. But as you all know, I'm an aspirational golfer. I want to get my handicap down. I want to work hard. I want to practice, maybe take a few lessons. And I feel a model like the TaylorMade P760 is really going to allow me to do that, particularly in those shorter irons, with them being that sort of nice, compact, more like bladed style of club. Really nice forged feel. Got to be quite precise. There's not a load of technology analogy to add forgiveness there. So it's going to focus my mind in the practice, and then as we go up into the longer irons, I think with the 7 iron still in the P760, I think that's going to work for me because there is still that help from the hollow construction and the speed foam. But then then just going into sort of 6 and 5 iron, I need that little bit of extra help from the from the P790. So that's a combo set that I've been fitted into, which I know some of you might be scratching your heads because the P760 is that progressive set, and it has really been designed to take away the need to have a combo set. But I'm still getting the benefits of that progressive set, like I say, in the 7 iron, in that hollow construction with the speed foam, a little bit extra ball speed, going down into the shorter irons that say that sort of like different design, more sort of like compact, bladed type of club. So I'm still getting the progressive nature up to there, but I'm just going to get the benefits in the longer irons from the P790. So when I go for a set of a fitting for a set of irons, I want a set of irons that I can grow into. I don't just want a set that's maybe going to work best for me now. I want something that, if I do improve, which I want to do, if I can get my handicap from 15 down to 10 or 9, I want a set of iron that's going to help me do that, and then when I get there, that's still going to work really well for me. And I do think that the P760 irons are going to help me do that. And if maybe you're out there in a similar situation to me, a similar sort of handicap, and you're looking to improve, you want to invest in a set of irons that you can grow into, and then a set of irons that's going to help you improve, and then when you do improve, it's going to maybe help you shoot your best scores. And I actually genuinely, I'm not just saying that because I've been down here with TaylorMade, so I honestly think this is a set of irons that can help me improve over the winter. If I work hard, I do think they're going to help me get my handicap down. So post your comments below if you have any questions about the fitting process that I went through today, anything more about that lie angle that we adjusted, cranking those lofts, obviously the shafts, what shafts might be available. Post your comments below, we'll get back to you straight away. Give this video a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe while you're down there, but thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.